All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Professor Plunkett here at Pierce College. We just finished our class. It's about 9:42 p.m. or 21:42 for those military types or cops or other 12-hour, 24-hour time people. Tonight, we had a very good session. We did a bunch of interesting things. Let me travel around the room a little bit and show you our agenda. You should be able to download the agenda, but if you want to look at the board here, I don't know if you can read it backwards. That's not going to work for you. So let me just talk about it while I'm here. I'm looking dark. We talked about current events as usual, a few things. Did our review of the material in Chapter 1 talking about law, substantive law, procedural law, difference between criminal and civil law, just like in your discussions. Then we continued our watching of the movie My Cousin Vinny because it takes us right through the entire criminal court's process. Let me find somewhere I'm in better light here. So we did that. Then we went through the lecture on the structure of the American courts. It is in your doc sharing section. You can pull that down and go through it yourself. There's also a link to the Pennsylvania courts video, which is also in your 2.1 discussion. So as long as you go through the 2.1 discussion, you can watch that Pennsylvania court video, walk through the PowerPoint, read the chapter. Hopefully you'll be good to go for everything that you need for both the discussion and your assignment for the week. Hope I'm not making anybody dizzy trying to make this mobile. All right, then we did a worksheet, check for understanding. I would ask that you do it yourself. It's going to help you to have an understanding of the material and the difference between a state court and a federal court, what kind of cases are heard in a state court versus a federal court was an important part of the discussion. We went over Project Part 1. Project Part 1 is just a case of Michael, who wound up being arrested after someone got shot at a fair in Chester County, or street festival in Chester County, Pennsylvania. And basically the Part 1 questions for that is that look at the procedures. What will happen to Michael after his arrest? What are the steps? What are the details of the various steps that Michael will go through before reaching trial? Now, if you're able to watch the My Cousin Vinny video like we did, or at least you just go through the chapter and find what are the steps. All right, Michael gets arrested. He has to be booked at the police station. He's got to be arraigned to possibly get bail or not get bail. Then he goes to preliminary hearing, or maybe the case goes to a grand jury where it is decided whether or not there's enough evidence for him to go to trial. So you're going to, in your part 1 of your project, explain all those pieces and what happens before trial. Then you're going to answer the question, this case, if it's a homicide in Chester County, Pennsylvania, is this a state or a federal trial? So remember, when you go through the PowerPoint and you go through the chapter, what constitutes state jurisdiction, what constitutes federal jurisdiction. This guy's committed a murder in the street in Chester County, Pennsylvania. What do you think? You're going to explain that and why. And you're also going to tell us which court is he going to be tried in. So it's very, very important. If you watch that Pennsylvania courts video, you'll find out exactly what court where trials take place in Chester County and in every county within the state of Pennsylvania. So you should have more than enough information by this point to answer Part 1 of your project. Keep in mind that by week 4, at the end of week 4, you need to turn in a draft of your project. So I would expect at this point that you could completely answer Part 1. You may get a start on Part 2 and turn that in as your draft. If you want to give me an outline of all 3 parts, that would be great too. But what I need to do, what I need to see for your project draft in week 4, that you're doing significant work on this project. And as I said, my expectation is that most people, with the information that's been provided to you so far, should be able to tell us exactly what's going to happen in the Part 1 questions. Again, with anything, if you have any questions about any of this material, any problems understanding anything, you need any help, I am always available for you. You can call, you can write, you can come to campus, we can have a little meeting. Whatever you need to do, I will work with you. So, and I know it's very difficult for those of you who are not used to taking an online class, you've never done an online class, for those of you that are sitting at home, some of this is very difficult. It requires a great deal of personal discipline to make sure that you have the time. Schedule the time in your day or in your week where you're going to work on your assignments. Now, I know some people who are working, if you're working Monday through Friday, you may set aside some time on a weekend because, where is the time? If you're working, 8 hours a day and you got to go home, you got the wife, you got the kids or husband, kids, whatever, or you're living with your parents or you're living with, grandparents, you got to take care of people. There's all kinds of things. If you're working multiple jobs, I understand. What helps is if you take the time to look at your weekly schedule, what normally happens, and set aside some time and have a conversation with the folks that you live with, whether it be if you're married with kids, you're living with parents, or whatever it is you're doing, and ask them to help you. Say, I need to have 1 hour on Saturday afternoon, or I had to have an hour or 2 hours on Saturday night, whatever. Figure out how much time that you need to accomplish the task that you need for the class and ask for that quiet time. And if you can't get it, you might go out to a public library. You might come right here to the campus if you're close. I know there's a couple people that are way, way far away that are never coming here. And there may be others, but I know of 2 people who have mentioned in the discussion or the meet and greet, one being in York, Pennsylvania, and the other being in Rhode Island. And I know you're not coming here, but you all have public libraries and other quiet places that you could go to. Or, in today's times, you can get Wi-Fi in any coffee shop or a lot of different restaurants and stores that you could go plop down, get away from the house, get away from whatever's going on, and get your stuff done. So that's just a point. I did a whole master's program online, so I know where you're at for those of you that are at home, and I know how difficult it is. So just some advice. Prioritize your schedule. Find a quiet place to work, whether it's in your house or going somewhere else, so that you can get it done and get it done right. Make sure you're participating in discussions this week. We have 2 important discussions. One, obviously, being about the court process and what the different courts are. The second discussion is we have a special guest person for our discussion, Kristen Urati from the library, and Cardi from the library, who is going to work with us and help you to get through the issues of collecting information, analyzing information, and doing proper citations. And of course, it's all graded, so you have to participate if you're not here in class. I'm recommending everyone, even the folks in class, participating in that 2.2 discussion, because it is very, very important. For those of you at home, that is a graded discussion for you, so you need to do it anyway. But it is very important, and I think it'll help you going forward in your educational process and doing your papers and projects in other classes as well as this one. All right, so again, reach out to me whenever you need to, and I hope everybody's having a great night, and catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.